Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here with Hedge's Paul Mathis. Hello, Paul.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Well, in normal times, we might be in Amsterdam discussing this technology in person, but here we are. You guys recently, so you have a product, an app called Postlab, which helps to enable Avid Media Composer editors to work remotely. Can you just give us a little bit of a history of your company and also uh, the product and how people are using it now?
Sure. Hedge started out as an acquisition app for offloading media on set, and that quickly grew after a year on the market into archiving and some more workflow tools around it. And we saw this need in the middle of workflows where editors weren't really collaborating unless they were next to each other in suites. And we saw that remote work was going to happen at some point. This was all pre-COVID, by the way. And we focused back then on bringing collaboration to Final Cut Pro, which is completely lacking in collaboration tools. And we tried to make it possible for people to work together on libraries asynchronous in different parts of the world. And then COVID hit, and suddenly the need showed there to be for Premiere editors as well, and Avid editors, because those were really confined to working on-prem, working in the office, working in studio, especially when you're working on a Nexus. So we had a lot of requests from teams that were partly on Final Cut Pro, but had other teams that were on Avid that wanted to work in the same Postlab workflow that I had for Final Cut Pro. And well, we started working on that last year, or early this year, I'd say, and see if we could sort of liberate those teams to work from home whenever it was required due to COVID limitations or regulations, and get back to the office when that was allowed as well. So sort of hybrid workflow without any boundaries or limitations. And that's where we landed on Postlab for Media Composer.
So this is sort of an extension of existing storage that a company might have in place, like you mentioned, Nexus. So how does that work exactly?
It can be, it doesn't have to be, but it can. We think we're as a company very much against vendor lock-in. So we think we shouldn't be locking people into our cloud storage system, which is called Drive. So we offer both ways. Teams that have a Nexus infrastructure can sync the Nexus with our cloud storage, which then also identifies as third-party storage within Avid. So they can be both used at the same time on-prem if that works for people. If people work from home exclusively, they can use just the cloud component and then sync everything back to the studio when they plan on getting back into the studio. We also have teams that are fully remote without a Nexus infrastructure that just use cloud as third-party storage in Avid. And that works just as well. And we try to mimic the whole workflow that you're used to when using a Nexus. So we have workspace creation there. We have bin locking in the cloud. We have an attic even. So it's a fully transparent workflow, non-obtrusive in any way.
So what does it look like from a user's perspective? What does it take to get it set up? And do you need to be an IT expert to do it?
Not at all, not at all. No, we try to stay away from everything that looks IT. In the case of Postlab, typically the media manager or workflow supervisor creates a team on Postlab, downloads our app, adds members, decides who needs bin locking, who doesn't. And then everybody gets an invite, creates an account, and can get to work. And it's easy as that. Teams can be up within minutes.
Is there a limit to how many people could be on the system?
No, there isn't. No, not really. There are, I would say that with Postlab Drive, which is built on top of LucidLink, there is a limitation on how much storage you can actually media stream in based on your connection, of course. So the technology itself doesn't really have a limitation, but your bandwidth can be limited or tends to be limited. So what we do is that we download the contents of a workspace or the projects locally by default. So you always work locally. Unless you don't have enough storage, then you stream from the cloud on demand what's needed based on where the playhead is. But most Avid teams, as opposed to Final Cut Pro teams, where everybody really liked working from the cloud, when it comes to media, Avid teams typically stream everything, cache it locally, and then work as if completely local.
Okay. Well, you guys were ahead of the curve in terms of preparing for remote workflows. You tackled Premiere, you tackled Media Composer. What's next? What could possibly be next?
Good question. Well, Hedge is actually a company of sound engineers. And we have been wanting to do proper Pro Tools remote workflows for multiple years now. And that also goes for motion, for instance, so Apple Motion, but also After Effects. So we think we're gonna, instead of focusing only on Annalise, we're trying to get more into the who are you working as well with as an editor. You're not an island as an editor. And of course, the main body of work is editing, but there are assistant editors there are story editors there are dialogue editors in the sound realm. That's who we try to bring into Postlab as well at some point. But as it is right now, nobody knows where this is going. So much has changed within 1.5 years. Who knows where we'll be a year from now?